Welcome to the Crypto Podcast. You can find all our episodes on thecryptopodcast.org. We're also on BitChute and YouTube. You'll find the links in the podcast description. I've also got 4 other podcasts, as well as being a podcast coach. You'll find everything on bio.link/podcaster. My guest today, he's actually a serial innovator, but he's the CEO and co-founder of Relayz. Please welcome Fernando Martinho. Did I do your name justice today?
Yeah, sort of. Hello, everyone that is listening. Thank you.
So you're obviously the CEO of the company. You might just introduce yourself and let the listeners know a little bit more about you.
Yeah, I'm Fernando. Like you said, I'm CEO of Relayz, Relayz.io. And we are really a hyper-secure communications protocol. So we're building a Web3 protocol. On top of the protocol, we're building a series of tools. One of them is a competitor of Zoom. Yeah, it's the Web3 version, plus, anything really, video, audio, text, messaging, anything that is communications. We really want to bring it to Web3, but totally decentralized. Yeah. Multi-chain, our own network as well of nodes, part of the protocol with APIs and SDKs, so that people can actually start to actually create their own stuff as well. So that's the sort of thing we've been building for 3 years already. My background, I have been like in technology forever. Even since I was a kid, my dad kind of indoctrinated me, into this, because he was always all the new tech. It was really incredible. Every new stuff that is coming out, it doesn't matter, it was a microwave or whatever, it's always bring the new stuff. And that excited me, of course, as a kid, and microwaves probably well before, but you know what I mean. So, and then I kind of started quite early, and when I was a teenager, and I did some coding when really, really young, and then continue, and then I got really interested. I came to the UK to learn and to study at university. I'm originally from Portugal, yeah, and then eventually I stayed in UK, progressed my career, became actually a corporate guy, to be honest, became a CTO of some medium-sized, large organizations, and then I found crypto, quite early. I was very much into distributed computation, yeah. Love anything about that, and started quite early looking at big data. It was not even called big data at the time, and eventually, one of the things that I've always been is a cybersecurity guy. Didn't follow like a core cybersecurity career, but it was very, very quite close to me, if you can probably understand. And eventually I even created a startup with a couple of guys, it didn't work out, sometimes happens, you move on. And then about 3 years ago, my co-founder and I started Relayz. He's a very core cybersecurity guy, a bit different from me. So we both have a strong background in cybersecurity, but he actually focused at some point his career on that. But he also was quite early into crypto, and about 2016 or 17, I can't remember. We met at a conference. I think 17. We met at the conference in London. And we kept in touch, we created a good relationship. And about 3.5 years ago, we started talk. He was already playing with some of this stuff. He said, "What do you think?" I said, "You know what? Let's try to solve. This is a big problem." We knew what has happened in the past, with Edward Snowden reporting. Everything is out there, has been recorded, everything has been listened, And then in 2020, I'm going to say it, we are on Zoom, but I will say it anyway. The Congress in US kind of forbid everyone to use Zoom because the calls will be routed through China servers, all of these things, kind of led us to, we already started, by the way, at that point, and then we actually focus on let's on top of protocol, let's actually first build something to fix the video conferencing, for example. Let's decentralize it. So that's what we've been doing, building the whole protocol, but then we start to build this tool, So that's where we are today.
Excellent. And I also believe you're a board advisor for Ubuntu. Is it Ubuntu Tribe?
Yeah, I mean, that was like, I met Mamadou kind of in 2018 at the IBC, in Malta. And he was floating with the idea of creating these for Africa, to actually keep the natural resources in Africa, instead of being exploited. And that excited me a lot. And initially, I gave a lot of advice where he should go, type of technology, and I was really glad that eventually he managed to take it off. He raised money, and I think they've launched it now. By now, they actually did. But I haven't, with my life in the last 3 years, to be truly honest, I haven't managed to really keep up to speed. So we touch base, of course, whenever there is, like any advisor of any project, I'm here when they need it. When it's needed, he always talks to me,
I mean, just seeing like what's going on, because I mean, for centuries they've been taking all the assets out of Africa, and even now, say, the cobalt and everything, and they're basically they're trying to keep it, and I think they're gold backed. So what they're doing the gold. So I mean, it's something that's going to keep the people that are working there, create more assets for them instead of just having slaves, which unfortunately has been going on for as long as we can see.
Yeah, it's a great project, and unfortunately, it's hard, really, really hard when some projects that people that are trying to solve some of these problems, they start to look at, they touch on so many things, You're gonna touch gold in Africa? Oh my God, it's hard, but he's very well positioning guy, Mamadou, he was one of the young guys in the WEF, he had a fantastic financial career. Really, look at his background, incredible, super intelligent guy as well. And he is determined, really determined, driven to succeed. But it's a hard journey, I have to say. I know what he's gone through. So I'm really glad that they are getting somewhere,
Excellent. So with Relayz, I mean, like you're creating a kind of interview style system. So you might kind of touch on that, how it's going to operate, what you can, obviously.
Yeah, so Relayz is a decentralized protocol. Yeah, it is really a privacy secure, really hyper secure protocol that has a multi-chain approach. Yeah, plus our own network as well. And like I said on the top, we're building a series of tools. Yeah, so the entry point is really a wallet. We don't need to have your email. We don't need to have your phone number, nothing like that at all. It's a true Web3. So I really believe in and I think people need to start to think about this very carefully, before they call themselves a Web3 project, because I think we need to go back why we're creating this and what it is that we're really doing. Yeah, but we need to go back to what was Web 1. Yeah, Web 1 was decentralization of information. Yeah, that was the internet. Yeah, internet appeared, decentralized information that was on media, it was on libraries, it was on governments, and it's a decentralized network, a global network that is totally centralized of information. Of course, it has evolved, So with Web 2, obviously, when that happened, many people didn't like it, because that takes their power that was concentrated away, so that you have a power of information concentrated, you can actually manipulate it, right, in the way you want. Yeah. So they didn't like it, obviously. Then some of tech giants start to appear and start to again get back that control. So the problem with Web 2 is that all the information, everything goes through central authorities. They usually are black box. It doesn't matter if you talk about Zoom or about Google or Facebook. It doesn't really matter. They're all centralized. Yeah. And obviously, we already knew it, but with Edward Snowden coming out with everything that he came out, which turned out to be true, people start to understand actually this is a big problem, then when all of that started to come more into the mainstream, and people start to think more about that, then they understood, actually, we have a huge problem here, We really need to start to decentralize everything again. And then someone came out quite recently with some, I would say, big balls, if I can say in this show. You might like him or not. Elon Musk, did one thing that actually, I thought, wow, which is Twitter and Twitter files. Demonstrated one thing, yeah? Everything was being manipulated, So this puts a big problem, which is, and this is, I think, people especially in Web3 and in crypto need to think very carefully about these things, which is about censorship resistance. Everything was being censored in Twitter. So that's what we know. Now, if they did that to Twitter, think about everything else. Yeah.
Well, I experienced a lot of censorship because one of my podcasts is exposing corruption, and I got removed from YouTube. I got removed from Linktree. I got even barred for a while on LinkedIn, loads of different things, even TikTok. They say that, there's freedom there, and I got a violation. Yet all the information that I'm putting out is actually true. And on another side, I'd written a book, but I didn't publish it. And I was exposing a load of stuff on the book, and I had loads of links because I didn't want to go into too much details, but I wanted to show my source. And they all started disappearing. And I heard the same from a load of my guests. A load of the natural health stuff and everything started disappearing from Google search. They just started removing everything, which basically goes back to your point that they have full control of everything that's there.
Yeah. So I think we need to cherish the liberty that we have, all of those things. And I'm not trying to be here a crusader of any kind. I'm just a normal guy, that likes to live a normal life, and I value the freedom that I have, and I think the most important thing that people need to think is about censorship tends to always lead to totalitarianism. Yeah, always. And look back, it's about history. Just learn a bit about history, go back in history, and think about what has happened, and what's happening today. And we look what's happening today is a dictator textbook, it is really. And I think the most important thing that people will take out of it is that things are not good at the moment, So that's comes back to about censorship and censorship resistance, And one of the components of Web3, yeah. For me, there are not components, sorry. There are three things that you need to have to be actually call yourself a Web3 company, Web3 project, yeah? One, your identity is only yours, yeah? Your wallet should be enough, the ID, not the ID with avatar, that's all good stuff as well, but it has to be your identity is you are in control of your digital identity, it's your wallet, yeah? That's your entry point, yeah? Second, have to be decentralized, yeah? If it's not decentralized, whatever you're building, yeah, doesn't matter. So decentralization. Third one, censorship resistant, yeah? If you have those three, then you can call at the core, this is at the core of Web3, yeah? Then you could call yourself a Web3 project. It doesn't matter what you're building, DeFi, gaming, communications protocol, it doesn't really matter, If you don't have those three, you're not a Web3 company. And I laugh, and it's funny, when all of these people, I understand why, and I think you understand why as well, call themselves a Web 2.5, like, what? Oh, it's a way to get there. No, just get there, and find a way then to bring people from Web 2, not I'm Web 2.5. It's because they can't do it. So it's just money grabbers, in my opinion, okay? I don't want to offend anyone, yeah, that is called themselves Web 2.5, but we think about really the fundamentals, and you have a way to repositioning everything that you're doing, and restructure, and become a true Web3 company, Don't say that it's Web 2.5, Web 2.6, all of this stuff. It really annoys me sometimes, and I think people need to start to think very clever about their options and the way they're going to move forward, because otherwise we're going to go back continuously to losing, what we have been creating. Internet was a great achievement of humankind, yeah? Totally centralization of information. Let's continue now. Let's get back to what it was supposed to be, And Web3 is actually continuing and not allowing to be hijacked again, although some are trying to do it, already. And that's a different conversation. So coming back then to, sorry it's taking so long, but, coming back then to Relayz, what we thought at the core is we have to really make sure that it is totally centralized, through Web3. So your entry point is your wallet, every participant, for example, on the tool that we're building, first tool, it's a video conferencing, your entry point is a wallet.
Just on that, because you're talking about the wallets, like for those that fare it, or is there ways of companies creating something that they can tap into your wallet? Because now it's a case of there's so many kind of different scams going on and everything, that when people don't know a company, putting in their wallet, is it possible for a company to actually extract your detail by setting it up, by connecting your wallet? Because that's the fear that people have.
Yes, of course, yes. If the smart contracts are malicious, obviously, you're going to have trouble, So you just have always to research, about the project at the team, look at the team of advisors, look at their channels, talk with people around, usual stuff that you need to do. But above all, look, just use a wallet that is empty, with nothing, MetaMask is just going to create new account, or just use another profile on your Google Chrome and set up. I mean, there's so many ways, use a separate computer, just try something different, and so yeah, it happens a lot, but tends to be more, on projects that don't have much substance, Once you go there, you see there's a lot of it, and once you try, you understand there is a product behind it, it's just a process that people need to go through. But look, if you don't have a wallet, we actually solve the problem of bringing Web 2 people to Web 3, yeah? You just create a quick account, and we create a wallet in the background for you. So we tap into the API of the wallet and create the wallet on the fly, yeah, and drop that on your browser storage, yeah, and then the browser authenticates you automatically to the smart contract, So that means Web2 users don't have to go through that process. Oh, seed phrase and all of stuff. You know how it is. First time I set up MetaMask, even I was like,
It's
it
fair,
blew my
especially when you're
brain.
doing a transaction and everything. It's just fair kicks in because if you do it wrong, you lose everything.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not even talking about it. I'm talking about the actual process of actually trying to make it run. I'm a techie guy. At the beginning, I was like, "What?" It was quite. And I was thinking at the time, this is such a bad user experience for anyone out there. So I don't think people have solved that problem. There's quite a couple of good projects, that they are doing quite well. So let's see what they're gonna do. But to try to make it easier. So what we've done is that. So that means at some point, if you, you get educated, you start to understand more about Web3. If you want to retrieve your wallet, yeah, we will provide a function for you where you can just say, hey, give me back my wallet, and we'll provide all the details to you so you take control and you can set up that wallet, blah, 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 It's just we know the actual app will do it, because we have no control whatsoever. It's in your browser storage, in your device, computer, mobile phone, doesn't really matter. Yeah. So at that point, that actually opened quite a bit a door for us, because it means that we can now mix Web3 with Web2 users on the platform, without actually going through the pain process of education and so on and so on. We will still provide that at some point on our website for users. It's quite important, yeah. So that's your entry point, and then of course, all that is happening in terms of encryption, etc., that happens on smart contracts, yeah. I don't want to talk much about here because but I'll say it how it is. The reason is because in centralized platforms, the encryption can happen at the point where the recording stops. For example, if we're recording a call, yeah, you cannot have encryption while you're recording a call, and obviously, then that becomes a big problem because there's no encryption. People who are very clever, being an attacker of any kind, can actually type in conversations on video conferencing. Yeah. So for us, we tried to solve the problem many different ways, and we found a way to do it. Yeah, decentralize it by multi-chain, having your own network of nodes to actually do all the routing across the world. So there is no central authority. It's not us that owns the servers across the world. Yeah. You don't need to trust us. Trust on the people that are like the, I don't know, the Bitcoin network or whatever, It's spread it. Everyone can become a node, yeah? We're going to make it sure that quite a low level entry point. Well, I was thinking probably in a couple of weeks, if I'm not mistaken. I need to catch up with my team because I was traveling away for 2 weeks. But I think we are about 2 weeks from releasing the beta version of the node so that people can start to play with it. Yeah. And so that means that it becomes not only harder for anyone to tap into conversations, listen to conversation, which happens more than what people think. Okay. And let's not even talk about IP theft. Just imagine you and we are, I don't know, researching about some new computing stuff, or some biotech, that makes you go back in age, or not just slow down age, but go back in age, which is happening, by the way.
I've heard that, yeah.
It's quite amazing. But and somebody taps into conversations, they can steal our IP very easy. They can go ahead and register before you and I can. When we're ready to go out there, we'll say, hey, let's go and register IP. Somebody already did it. So it happens more than what people think. So obviously, I'm not saying that I can't say it. Obviously, that specific tools that are doing that. Obviously, there is no proof, and I can't say that. But what I'm saying is, if it's centralized, if it's a black box, and if there's flaws in the security and or actually on the process, the whole process of achieving messaging, video conferencing, I don't know, Discord, whatever you want to call it out there, then obviously somebody is going to tap into all of that, into all of those weak points, and there's quite a few. It's very hard not to. Also, no, let me rephrase that. It's quite easy for someone who really knows what they are doing to become a man in the middle. So by decentralizing and making sure some of the encryption happens on chain, or the central authority is on chain, for example, make it multi-chain, then you solve some of these problems, by having a network of nodes that make sure that everything is routed across the world, the P2P, all the participants are in different parts of the world. There's people are actually running the nodes, for that. There's no central authority. So that achieves one thing very important, censorship resistance, a safe place, And then, do you know what I used to get? I used to get, sorry, I'm really tired, I need to put glasses, but I used to get this, Roy. People used to tell me, oh, it's not important so much privacy for me, Oh, I have nothing to hide. And that argument is so flawed, so flawed, because this is, first of all, this was created by people, this argument, that they actually they want to take control, they want to actually continue with the control, if you know what I mean, and they name that into security or national security or whatever they sometimes say, or they want to sell you the services, extra services or better services that they provide, and that's about profitability as well. But you have to separate both. Privacy and security are connected, but they are different, but when people say this thing over and over again, this is called the illusory truth effect, is when people tend to believe false information when it's repeated over and over and over again, so when these people start to say, privacy is not important, and people listen to this too many times, and then they just repeat it, and they actually truly believe it's not important anymore to them. But in fact, on a daily, and by the way, advertising, news media, politics often use these similar techniques to this, and it's quite convincing for people, So I always tell people, look, whenever you go home, you always close your door, Whenever you go to the toilet, you always close the door. Whenever you go to the bedroom with your wife, boyfriend, whatever, you close the curtains. You do care about privacy, And people tend to forget a lot about these things, but also because they're not given an option. If there are no options, for something more safe, then of course you don't care, you continue to use whatever. But if you're giving here something that is really safe, of course you're going to go for this thing that is safe. You're not going to, no, I'm going to go for the silly one, and this, for me, brings me back that to one of the responsibilities that from organizations, from governments, is to actually provide safety. It really is. A lot. Some of these organizations sometimes forget their social responsibility. You have to provide safety. Of course, governments have to provide security and safety to people. We know that. But not at the expense of removing people's liberty, And that's what tampering with privacy really does, is removing that liberty from people, and organizations forget their safety, for people, and they continue to do that as well, So all of these monitoring and gathering information all over the place reached let me just quote you something. I quoted this yesterday, actually, to someone, I was on a Twitter Spaces yesterday. Cardinal Richelieu, well, you know who he is, yeah? Cardinal Richelieu, is very famous French cardinal, yeah? I read a few things by the guy, quite interesting, but once he said, give me 6 lines written by the end of the most honest man, yeah, and I'll find enough to hang him. Do you understand what I mean? It's all of this gathering information, So basically, he was referring to how organizations, how governments can find stuff in a person's life in order either to blackmail that individual or prosecute them, whatever, simple things, they'll find a way. And this is absolutely true if you think about that, So this is really the discussion here is simply liberty versus control, and that means that we need to have a safe place for people to have their conversation. Journalists need that, for example, absolutely need that. Many people need that, people researching important things, even in personal life, I want to talk with someone that I don't want people to listen to that conversation, being my mom, being my girlfriend, being whatever, I don't want people to listen to that, everybody should go back to the basics, and this is, I think, we as humanity are losing, and these organizations, these governments are removing all of this from us, over time they remove these type of things that we should always have in our values, and I think the thing that we are doing is so crucial for us to go back to allowing people to have important conversations safely,
And like having, say, interview system that's secure and safe, but the problem is we have these devices next to us that most of the applications on them have terms and conditions that they can record anyway, so they're recording the conversation. Like, the reality is we need a phone system that kind of excludes that, or that can block all of that.
Yeah, look, we don't know what's happening under the wood, there. But there are ways to, if you're using a browser, for example, to have if you install an app, yes, of course, it's as simple as that. If you are somewhere, they can turn on potentially, if they jack into your phone, they will. If they use like tools like Pegasus, from an SO group or any other, there's plenty of them out there, plenty, okay? And of course, they can listen to every conversation you have, anything that you type in WhatsApp, or even in a Word document, but that's capturing, things that are actually in your phone, there's one thing for sure, okay? We have to separate two things here, okay? One is about massive surveillance, The other thing is actually targeting someone that a government is looking after, for whatever reason, or any agency, government. I'm talking just about governments here, for example, So obviously, if they're going to do that, they have a reason to do it, and there's, believe me, there's no way ever that anyone can get out of that. If they want to target you, you have no chance. I can categorically tell you that. They'll always find a way. Okay, they have the means, they have the technology, they will do it. Yeah. The other thing is just the massive surveillance, and this is what we're talking about. The other thing, and listen to your phone and so on. I mean, there's nothing you can control about that. We shouldn't even think about that. Yeah. I'm not doing anything wrong. You're not doing anything wrong. Why are they listening to our conversations? Yeah. It's totally different subject, the problem is what we've been talking about is the massive surveillance that it is out there, and going back, this decentralization is important. So it goes back to the conversation about liberty versus control, which is really about a safe place for people to have conversations about censorship, being censorship resistant. Decentralization does that. And you go back to what Bitcoin it really is, how it all started with Bitcoin and blockchain. It's about being censorship resistant. Yeah, it's very simple, financial mechanism, not what a discussion, but it is about censorship resistance. So yeah, I mean, look, two different things. Yeah, massive surveillance and targeting people on their phones to do whatever. Yeah. Now, obviously, if you're going to install apps on your phone, yeah, if you have a phone, yeah, that's it. If they want to, they can. Yeah. But we should not allow anyone really to have that role of massive surveillance. I think it leads to totalitarianism. And you look at some countries out there, and that's what happened in those countries. It's very simple.
And with the system then, like how are you planning on monetizing it? Is it something that's going to be paid via crypto, or will you be using kind of like the Visa, PayPal and different things like that? Because obviously you'll have to pay, have a paid service to cover, all the costs associated with creating it.
Yeah, we have a proper business model here. Our token is not our business model, like 95% of people out there do, So yes, our business model it has several angles here. One of them is we will have subscriptions, yeah, and the subscriptions will have different levels. Subscriptions will have NFTs associated with it. We actually have very soon a campaign going out with 10,000 NFTs, where let's say level 1, the top 100 NFTs will have lifetime access to every single. We're going to publish all of that. We're still finalizing a few details, but have access lifetime, and it might change. So don't take me for the words I'm saying at the moment, but read when it's published if you go to our website. But it will have lifetime access to all the tools, all the features and so on. So kind of become the OGs really, and then of course, need to do certain number of calls, and they'll keep a status, and there's going to be, all sorts of activities around that will kind of enable people to come quicker to our tool and experience quicker all the things that we are proposing. So that's kind of a go-to-market part of our first part of the go-to-market strategy. But then we will it's about 10,000 NFTs. Yeah. So there's always NFT associated with those 10,000. 10,000 NFTs that are associated with the first tranche of subscriptions that we're going to give to people. Yeah. So that different levels, but eventually we want to allow everyone to associate any NFT that they want. Yeah. With their profile, with their subscription, with, you understand where I'm going. Yeah. And this is quite important because we have a partner that I can say that because partnership is done. Have the ID, they have avatars, avatars are NFTs, and they will be able to authenticate automatically to our tool because there will be an integration through our API.
And you said DID. What's DID stand for?
Decentralized identity.
Okay.
Yeah. So makes it a lot easier than for people, as well. So we're opening here a totally new world, and I think one of the most important things that we need to think about is NFTs have a role, and I think if they have a role associated, for example, with subscriptions, we can do so much more. For example, we're exploring at the moment something that I don't think we've seen out there yet. Which associating NFTs with other parts of what we are doing across the entire platform. I can't tell you much. I wish I could because it's so exciting. But
But I know that, there's a lot of things that you're doing. So we're definitely going to get you back to, in a few months, and because obviously you have to keep your cards close to yourself when you're. But I know that you've got your roadmap as well. That's actually showing some of the things. It just mentions it on your website. It's got from 2020 to 2025, I believe, is what you're kind of giving a list of a few things that you're working on.
Yeah. So one of the things that I think it's important to mention is that part of the business model, just to finish that conversation, business model is that we also have a pay as you go. Yeah. It's, by the way, it's always free. It's going to be free for quite a while with no time limit. Yeah. Because we want really people to experience and join us and give us feedback, and we want to reach to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 million. We talk about 2 to 3 years later, we'll start to implement some of the parts of the business model. So the quicker we get there, obviously, the better. But then we'll be similar to Zoom. You'll have first 40 minutes free. But if you can pay as you go. You don't get bumped out of the call, basically. So there's a process there with smart contract, with stake tokens, etc. So you will keep taking after 40 minutes, X number of cents, for the following 30 minutes, and so on and so on. So it keeps doing that, So it is quite interesting, some of the concepts that we have. I really believe in that, and majority of people really like it. So we're creating some new business models as well around that. Yeah. So it's quite exciting. We just make sure, and the first thing that we wanted to make sure is that, because it's very easy to get into posonomics, people sometimes create tokenomics, and not just because they want to do some puns in tokenomics, it just ends up being that, eventually further down the line in their business model say, oh my God, if there's more people joining, we're not making any money. It was very badly thought. So we have a proper business model that is not attached to the tokenomics of the rest of the project. Yeah, although people will have to stake the token and so on and so on. So it is quite separate. So we really wanted to do this way because we could eventually, allow also other tokens to be staked, for example, not just ours, depends on the partnerships that we have as well. So, there's so many things that we need to think far ahead. It's not even on our roadmap. Here will be added, depending on how the world evolves, regulations evolve, partnerships we make. Anyone that thinks that the roadmap and the business model is fixed, these days, needs to rethink again. Everything is fluid. So we really need to stick to what we are planning, what we're doing, but of course, adapt as we go, And for that, you need to really have the right structure in the models that are creating business or not, I think it's quite important to be quite flexible, because the way I see the world today in crypto, we are in a bumpy ride again, we really are this year.
Oh, excellent. And just finally, and we definitely have to get you back, because I know we can go, on for hours for this, but I saw that you've got an international team, which is actually great as well, because sometimes you'll see, say, the Silicon Valley, like sometimes they're just all based in America or whatever, but you kind of have a lot of people from different parts of the world, which I think is what's kind of needed in this space.
Yeah, I agree. I think we actually learn quite a lot from each other, and this was done on purpose. We want to hire people distributed across the world, because if you're producing something like we are doing, easy to be targeted if everyone is on the same place, for example, So decentralization, distribution of teams is quite important, and we are structuring in a way that allows us to do that as well. Yeah, so this was the core principle. Yeah, I'm based in London. My co-founder is based in Lisbon. Yeah, we have our marketing guy is based in Beijing. For example, we have some people in Canada. We have some people. So we have people in Lisbon, of course. Yeah, we have some people in Poland. We have some people in Ukraine. So it's quite distributed. Yeah. And for me, that is quite exciting. We have some people in Bulgaria as well. We got people in the US. We have actually one person in the US only, but it is, yeah. You're spot on that. I think it's very, very important these days to have such type of teams, and when we're going to continue hiring that way,
Brilliant. Listen, Fernando, thoroughly enjoyed our conversation. I'm looking forward to actually seeing what you're doing and getting you back, because I didn't get through to half the stuff I wanted to discuss. But you might let people know what's the best way to contact you.
Yeah, so just Relayz.io. Yeah, you can go then to any of our social channels. It's at the bottom of the page. There's also contact information. Yes, just try it. You're gonna like it, because it's quite simple. You don't want to connect your wallet, no problem. Create a quick account that creates one for you in the background. Try, use it, and it's a safe place. It's very simple to use, nothing to download. You just need a browser, and that's it.
Brilliant. I'll make sure I'll put the links both in the audio and the video. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So that's all for the Crypto Podcast. You'll find all our episodes on thecryptopodcast.org. As mentioned, we're on BitChute and YouTube, and you'll find my other 4 podcasts along with the coaching bio.link/podcaster. Be sure to give us a thumbs up, 5-star rating, share with your friends. Until next week, take care.